I, came across this place and I thought, my God, what an opportunity.
In the late 90s, early 2000s, Auckland's Britomart was a place many chose to avoid. A neglected downtown area, home to derelict heritage buildings, empty gravel car parks, and a dangerous reputation for crime.
What had been here originally was this old, terrible car park behind the CPO, and so it was gone. There was a hole instead.
California-based New Zealand developer Peter Cooper was making multiple trips back to Auckland to spend time with his elderly mother, and he was looking for work.
Quite frankly, I thought I need to get a job and have a project to help pay for my airfare. And so that's what drove it. And at the time, I was meeting with council officers, but their idea was they wanted to do another car park and then sell off all the lots around it, which I just thought was sinful in terms of the opportunity that was here to create a precinct. And it's very interesting. This was the first place that got the name of a precinct, which now has become part of the vocabulary, and everyone has a precinct. But in fact, a precinct is a police district in New York.
I've watched a lot of American television too. So you're right. I hadn't heard it before then.
I do smile at myself when I see that suddenly everyone now has precincts of Auckland, which no one even knew what a precinct was.
So the council loved your idea so much they pitched it out to everyone else.
Yeah, they did, which really got me got up my nose significantly. And John Banks was the mayor at the time, and he was a good friend. I used to be his lawyer. And he sort of had a sense of what I'd done in the States with South Lake Town Square. So he promoted the idea that, councillors need to go to Texas and see what I'd done, which is what happened. And we had two different groups come. And anyway, that resulted in me winning the auction, as I'll say.
Peter Cooper builds communities, and along the way has built a sizable personal fortune. Estimated to be worth more than $1.5 billion, he'll once again feature prominently in this year's MBR list. South Lake Town Square in Texas was a major achievement for Peter Cooper. He built a 50-hectare mixed-use development modelled on a traditional American town from the ground up. South Lake Town Square opened in 1999 to acclaim from locals and international urban planners alike. And it's still being celebrated 25 years later.
This goes back a long time, but at the time, I think there was something like 200 regional malls under construction in America. And so America was driven by shopping in an enclosed environment. So the very notion of creating an outdoor environment where people had to walk some distance to go from place to place was just absolutely in the face of all of the principles that I was exposed to in terms of how regional malls were the answer. So we're a bit ahead of ourselves at the time. I think there was only 2 or 3 lifestyle centres, as they've become known, in existence. So there was plenty of skeptics. Yeah.
You must have learnt a lot from that experience too before you embarked on Britomart.
Well, I had, I think, the confidence of that experience in terms of, and it was, this is just at the time, didn't have cell phones, but people were just getting more technology driven. And I always felt that there was this human need to have gathering places. And in reality, the very first store we did at South Lake Town Square was a Starbucks. And it was full every morning. And so I realized, really, technology wasn't substituting for people wanting to gather. And that's sort of the thesis of what I practiced and learnt there and have tried to apply here, gathering places.
Which, of course, historically was exactly what the Britomart area had once been. As the foreshore of the harbour, it was known as Te Rerenga Ora Ite, a significant area for Māori. that later became a hub of maritime commerce connecting Auckland to the world. But as shipping became more industrialised and repositioned to the east of the harbour, Britomart and its heritage buildings became objects of neglect.
What were you thinking in terms of how do I make this an attractive space that people will want to come to?
I went back to, I guess, my playbook from the States, which was to become an event company first. And what we had out the back, once the hole was filled, was really a big sort of metal car park. And it was crap. And so we erected a huge marquee and started putting on events and parties and occasions and a lot of fashion parades. And once we got the East building finished and had the atrium, we'd have our fashion parades there. So we tried to breathe life into this place as an environment, and I always believed it was such a unique environment to be so close to the water. And it was, abandoned, it was derelict, occupied by squatters and seagulls, and there'd been some murders down here. It was an unfriendly place.
Is that where the precinct name came from?
No, it's not. No, it's not. But I want to civilize the place and get people here. And so we were an event company.
This is starting to feel a little like that famous scene from the baseball movie Field of Dreams. It's because it kind of is. To have events, Cooper and Company needed a stage, and that's where Takutai Square came in.
What we were trying to create is a place that had life. And I thought about it in terms of how to create lanes and how to create a square. And so I'd spent a lot of time in Italy looking at squares, and in fact, what we were allocated here, the square was half the size, so I doubled the size of the square because I wanted a place where people could gather.
It wasn't all out of a Hollywood script though. Cooper and Company's original application for development rights had been as a consortium with an Australian construction company, Multiplex, and developers, the Healy Brothers. Cooper and Company bought them out so they could run their own show. Operating under a global financial crisis didn't help either.
Big pain points along the way. And man, God, that's really the world we live in, even probably more so at the moment than it's ever been, in terms of external things globally going on that we really have no control over.
That might put a lot of people off doing something like this.
Yeah, no, I sort of don't ever have that thought, really, because I get very enthused about taking things on that excite me, and that's just, the world we live in, I think.